I'm always a little disappointed when that music stops. This is the pre-show banter portion of Comic Industry Insiders Live, and we're probably going to knock all these guys off the screen, so take a look at them real quick, because in about 5 minutes we're going to go live, and we're going to be talking about The Future Is from REKCAH Comics. And hey, boys, how are y'all?
Doing good.
Doing well.
Good.
It's so strange. I work with all four of you on a near daily basis, and it's so strange to see you on the same screen.
Great crossover event.
Yeah.
Months in the making.
Like it was the minute before, I was like, we should probably tell people we're going to be on this.
Yeah. I think that I don't know how you do it, actually, because you guys do so many of these. I really struggled even with just one show to promote it properly. You know, letting people know we're going to be on. It's a full-time job. I need a marketing guy.
Yeah, thank goodness Black Hills has one. Speaking of which,
hey, look at that.
It gets hot in this room. It gets cold, then hot, then cold, then hot.
Yeah.
Like the heat causes the AC to come on, and then the AC causes the heat to come on. Like it just doesn't.
You would think that a room full of hackers would be able to figure out a thermostat.
Oh, I think I broke it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you go to pretty much any hotel, if you hold down both buttons on the AC unit, you can put it in a reset mode so you can bypass the lowest level.
Yeah.
And every once in a while it breaks.
So the first hacking tip of the call here.
Already.
We used to know one for the elevators that if you held like this key and this key button down, it would bypass any other like floor that wanted you to stop.
And
I can't remember the combination anymore for that. But
I'm sure you can find it on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I learned from working with you guys is that you can basically hack anything with a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, one of my favorites was like hanging out at Chili's, like Chili's restaurant. And like one of the guys I was with, he's like, hey, if you hit the top corner of this, you can put it in bypass mode. And then you can have any food brought to your table. And then you can charge it to other tables. I was like, okay.
What? That's insane.
Sorry, Chili's.
Now I have a reason to eat at Chili's.
In a strange bit of entropy, I went to my first Chili's in probably 20 years, like 2 nights ago, because it was the only thing open in Burleson, Texas at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. So there you go. Yeah. Which is where I am. Actually, no, I'm in Dallas right now, but I was in Burleson this week, in Joshua. It's very small towns. Very strange. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, we've got about 2 more minutes to go. If you are watching this, we would love to hear from you. We are always interested to hear how you found us and what it is that you are working on. What step in comics you are? Are you a retailer? Are you a fan? Are you an industry pundit? Is that what we are now? I don't even know what it is that we do. Just feel free to jump into the chat and let us know. And especially if you have any questions, we're going to be digging in on a lot of stuff. If you have any questions about how to hack basic technology, Jason is here for the next hour, and we should be utilizing that resource as best we can.
Basic technology, for sure.
Basic technologies. Don't ask him how to fix your thermostat.
Or like your girlfriend's Facebook. That's normally the number one request that hackers get. Like, can you help me hack my girlfriend's Facebook?
What do they want to do on their girlfriend's Facebook? I don't know. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. Never mind. Why did I ask that question?
Read her messages.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Excellent. Let me pull up this rundown real quick here so we can, as we get started. It turns out, being away, I thought I brought everything that I use. Turns out it did not.
Which things did you forget?
Well, I usually have an extra screen down here that I can manipulate. So I have my phone, but everything is just a little cattywampus. It's all very, very strange. I don't like it. This just traveling thing is it's for the birds. No more.
Be Canadian, then that option gets taken away from you.
And until the current administration goes away. It's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. I don't need to do business.
All right. We're right at the stroke of. Can somebody hit that button and let's get going. Hi, my name is Adam Freeman. This is Comic Industry Insider Live, a weekly live webcast where we talk about the week's happenings in comics, in the world of the comics industry. We talk about what's happening in publishing. We talk about what's happening in retail. This week, we have a very special episode in that we are focusing on a project that we here at Prana, the company that I run, we've been working on for the last 3 years, something like that. And we're going to be talking about The Future Is. It is a title that is coming out from REKCAH Comics, and the FOC is coming up in just over a week, or just under a week. And we are incredibly excited about this project. We have many people here, but I'd like to bring up my co-host, Mr. Brian Garside. Brian, are you around? Hey, buddy.
It's me. Hey, pal. How you doing?
I'm good.
New microphone, so I'm testing this thing out today. We'll see how it sounds.
Well, you're at your current headquarters, so you have all of your normal screens and everything. So you should feel free to direct the traffic here, because I'm just going to be vamping, I think, at this point. So yeah,
sounds good. Where are you today?
I am in Dallas, Texas. I had to come home. I'm from the DFW area, and I had to come home for a family event, and finally heading back to Brooklyn tonight. Thank goodness. I'm looking forward to being home,
Civilization. Yeah. Well, who should we introduce first?
Well, I would love to bring up the man who kind of put all of this together. The gentleman whose vision for building a comic book about cybersecurity began this whole journey for all of us. Mr. Jason Blanchard. Can we bring Jason up?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Hello. Like, normally I'm on my own live streams. I'm not on someone else's live stream, so I don't know what to do with my hands.
I will say, in many ways, the fact that we're even doing a live stream is inspired by the work that you guys do over at Black Hills. Let's start there. Like, what is Black Hills Information Security, and why are we making a comic book?
Sure. So Black Hills Information Security started in 2008 as an ethical hacking company. So what that means is people hire the company to break into their companies. So if you ever wondered if your security is good, the only way to know if your security is good is to see if someone can break through your security. And so I always think back in the old medieval times, if you had a castle, where you thought your castle was safe, but until you hired a thief, essentially to hey, can you break into the castle? And then all of a sudden the thief breaks in the middle of the night, he's got a knife to your throat, and you're like, okay, so there's some places that we can improve. So that is kind of what Black Hills is, but there's no knife, and there is authorization, and people ask us to, but they hire us to break into, either physically break in or through their computer systems break in, and then say, here's all the ways we broke in, here's the ways that we did not break in. And it's all done hey, Blake, break in here, but don't break into here. And we're like, okay, cool. So we'll break into here. So everything's got what's called a rules of engagement. Everything is decided ahead of time. And then we break in, and then we say, here's all the ways we broke in, the ways that we didn't.
All right. When you say physically break in, though, are you talking about Ocean's 11 style heist, getting in through security? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it could be something as simple as tailgating is. So tailgating is a huge problem in physical security, and what that means is someone's got a badge, like an access badge or something that they would normally have to swipe to get in, but what they do is they just wait by the door. And when someone else goes in, they're like, oh, cool, thanks. And they just walk in right behind them. Or one of the classics is to have a bunch of boxes in your hand. And people are like, oh, here, let me get that for you. And so they just open the door for you, and you just walk right in. A clipboard will get you into almost anywhere in the entire world.
A video camera bag with a national sports network on it will get you into a lot of backstage. Not that we should be telling people this.
Yeah.
I worked in sports for a decade, and the number of times that I would walk into a locker room with just a bag and going, with TSN and just walk through. I'm sure things have changed in the last 10 years, but it's still surprising how many times a purposeful stride and a clipboard will get you through places that you shouldn't be getting into.
There's actually I have a story to tell about this. We were just at C2E2 like last 2 weekends ago, and did a presentation about the REKCAH project that we're working on. Had one of your hacker friends there. She was incredible. She comes to the panel. She was running a bit late because she had to find parking, Chicago, whatever. And she's running a bit late, and so she gets there. And we went out to eat, and we came back in. And on our way in, I was like, "All right, we have to go through security." Goes, I didn't go through security. Like the whole convention was being channeled through like cattle into this security area, and all she did was just go and find an elevator and go up, and just like she intuitively knew to just bypass security. Incredible, incredible.
Yeah. Once you start doing it, you can't stop.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Once you start to notice like how things are, if I come across a computer that's unlocked, like I'm not even like a hacker, but if I come across a computer unlocked, I'm like,
I'm gonna send an email.
So you were you're an ethical hacking company. You started working with them as a marketing guy who doesn't use the word marketing because hackers apparently don't like it, right? And have done incredible work. And I want to touch on that just for one quick minute, because it is, like I said, it has informed a lot of what we do with Prana for our clients, and especially over this project. But talk about how you guys view marketing and work with the community that you have.
Yeah. So like the root of it is the person who owns our company is a teacher. So like he loves to teach. He teaches pretty regularly. He teaches how to be an ethical hacker. I come from a teacher's background, so I taught for 9 years. And so like the way that we decided to do marketing was just teach people stuff, like freely teach people stuff. So we teach weekly through webcasts, live streams. We do our own news of like, here's the most up-to-date, hacker news. And so we teach people. We make educational materials we give away freely. Like we produce thousands and thousands and thousands, and we will mail it to you. Like if you're listening here and you just want to reach out, we'll mail you whatever hacker stuff that we have. We created a game called Backdoors and Breaches that helps people learn cybersecurity and do tabletop exercises. And so we created this game, and it really came from a background of like Dungeons and Dragons meets the game Clue meets cybersecurity. And so we give away as much as we possibly can, because the way we think of it is like, you ever been to like a comic book convention and you see like a giant booth?
Yeah.
And you know that there's a ton of people working it. There's a ton of stuff there. It costs a lot of money to ship all that stuff in. What if you had a small booth, like a tiny table, and you took all that money to show who you are and just made something to give to the people that helps and benefits their lives? So instead of spending $60,000 on a booth, we'll spend $4,000 on a booth, and then we'll spend $56,000 on stuff we can give away.
That sounds about right. Yeah. And I think I've watched that come together pretty much as well. Yeah.
And like when you give something to someone that like actually has value, has like they keep it. We have this saying like most of the stuff that you get marketing wise, when you hand it to someone, they say, cool, I'll throw this away for you. Like you're just giving something to someone for them to throw away on your behalf, right?
Yeah.
When we give something to someone, they're like, cool, I'm going to read this. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it at some point because I see value in it. And so that's what we always make something with value. So when we pitched the comic book series, that's exactly from the mindset was like, how about we take the money we would have spent on a booth, we take the money we would have spent on marketing ourselves, and we make something that's so cool that people actually want to keep and learn from and then share, potentially buy. You don't have to, but that'd be great. That means we can keep making more. But that was the goal, right? We wanted to make something that had a lot of value. And so, I approached you at Baltimore Comic Con in 2021.
Something like that. Yeah, that feels about right. That
Yeah.
tracks. Yeah.
I was like, Adam, we want to start a comic book company.
And I think my answer was, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
And then I'm really, I mean, that's my whole work is teaching people how to start comic book companies. But their first question always should be, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
100%. Well, yeah. And so we did, and we spent a lot of time working on getting the kind of behind the scenes crew right. You guys did a couple of. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do that. You did a couple proof of concept kind of comics. And so let's bring in somebody new. I want to bring in Eisner Award winning Mr. Joseph Keating. Joe, you're here, buddy.
Hello.
Hey.
It's good to see you, gentlemen.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks. Hello, Jason and Adam.
I feel like I should shrink down.
All get in the
It
right
feels real
place.
big.
Yeah, you guys were talking timelines. I feel like we've been talking about REKCAH in like some abstract form. I was like 2020. I think it was like COVID hit, and like there was the idea of like maybe I should start publishing comics since I have all this spare time,
Yeah.
And then man, we did a couple of like I guess you could call them prototype stuff, figuring it out. We worked on a little book called Bear versus Bear that I brought in our buddy Rob Guillory on.
So Bear vs. Bear, for 1 second before you move on, is so much. We inadvertently created two bears at Black Hills. We created a blue bear. He was like the blue team bear, like the good guy. And then one day, John, the owner of our company, was talking about something completely random. And he's like, it's not, the old saying, like, I don't have to run faster than you. I just got, like, if I'm being chased by a bear, I don't have to run faster than the bear. I just got to run faster than you. Yeah. And he's like, it's not like that anymore. It's the bear's got jetpacks and machine guns and flamethrowers, and he's coming to kill you, right? And he's like, you don't have to outrun the bear's coming for you. So we decided to make that into another bear. And then we're like, what if the two bears fought? And then I was like, hey, Joe, do you want to write a comic book where two bears fight, chicken fight style, like Family Guy? And it is wonderful. What we created with Rob Guillory, it is fantastic. It didn't, I think it was a little ahead of its time. Yeah.
You had to spend some time figuring out how all the buttons worked, right? You had to figure that out. Yeah, man. It's a fun book, though. You guys did a great job. How did you, Joe, when you first start looking at this? This is the first. I mean, you worked in marketing yourself. You were at Image for so long. You were a comic book writer. Won an Eisner for that work, and then you're approaching this new project. And I mean, are you at all steeped in cybersecurity at this point? Do you have a feeling for that world?
I have a history with it going way back in like pre-junior high. I was raised in a household where one of my parents worked in information systems for hospitals, and so we had BBSs and we had this stuff around. So I was dialing up and playing Doom 2 and downloading the Jolly Roger cookbook and all that kind of stuff from way back. But two paths split. I took the comic book path, and so when Jason brought me in, I was already kind of had that in head, like I was like ready to go, and it's been fun to immerse back in it for sure.
Wonderful. And so you and Rob, though, you have a history together, right? You brought Rob Guillory in.
Yeah, well,
Rob Guillory from
I think his first published thing through Image anyway was Pop Gun, the anthology that we did.
Oh, right on.
And then Jason said, hey, we're wanting to do this thing where these two bears fight and blah blah blah. We're trying to communicate this, and there's sort of like this I don't want to use the term algorithm, but there is this sort of you're figuring out, okay, the client's asking for this, who has the talent set for that, who would be great, and Rob Guillory was like the answer. Immediately popped in my head. Luckily he was available, and man, going from there. Yeah.
And how did that? I honestly, that was really before I was even brought in. Did you? What was the response from the cybersecurity world? Because that was really where you were focused. That book. It wasn't really in the world of comics. It was within that kind of insular world of yours. What did that how did your world respond to that book, Jason?
Well, people, like, there were some early adopters who like, I love this book. Like, I love Bear vs. Bear. And what it eventually became was fantastic for middle school and early high school.
Okay.
That wasn't the original plan, but then we found an audience for it. And so what happened was we made this thing. It's two bears fighting. We learned later on that they should talk. They talk now. And we had an explanation at the end of like why they fought in the first place. And it was a very, very like detailed cybersecurity thing called Log4j. And what happened was, what we learned was, by making it attached to Log4j, but then the production of comic book takes a while. By the time the comic came out, Log4j wasn't as quite as a thing that it was before. And so I think we lost that like lift, which we learned from.
Right.
And so now what we do is we're looking for things that have longer longevity, or at least we're looking at future technology. And so like the exploits haven't even happened yet, but we know they're coming. So Bear vs. Bear definitely found an audience with that middle school and early high school. And we started sending like case after case to teachers, and they were giving it to the students, and students loved it. And then it had that lesson in it about how Minecraft is where Log4j was first exploited, and then how Minecraft became this thing that brought down essentially every computer system in the world because of an exploit that was found in Minecraft. And so you could see like the kids were connecting with cybersecurity there. And so from there, we were like, well, let's do a mature reader book, which is what the future is now.
Awesome. Brian, I see you tinkering around with Bear vs. Bear. Anytime you want to bring that up, feel free. So, all right, excellent. So you guys, we were tinkering around with that. Yeah, here we go. They're the big guys. And I will say that we did get a chance to go to a cybersecurity conference last year, and there, I mean, from what I saw, your community really did lean in. I mean, there were little fan made shirts for Bear vs. Bear.
Yeah,
which is incredible. Yeah. Not even this. This is something they officially made. The fans were making their own.
Yeah.
It's incredible, with in-jokes even. So, all right. So you then began we started thinking about building comics. We had another editor, a man named Nate Cosby, that we were working with on bringing The Future Is to life. At this point, good opportunity to bring in our good friend, once again award-winning Mr. Fred Van Lente. Lots of awards on this panel. Hey, buddy.
Hey, guys.
So as I remember, I came to you and said, "Hey, we have this client that wants to do something, and it feels kind of." I think originally we were talking about doing something almost nonfiction wise, and I knew what a history you have in nonfiction, right?
Yeah.
Please.
I think we sent The Comic Book History of Basketball, which is a fun book I did for Random House with Joe Cooper, Jason's Way. And yeah, I think you guys were initially talking about doing a nonfiction thing, which I've done Action Philosophers and Action Presidents and comics and all sorts of other stuff, including the comic book history of role-playing games, Game Masters.
That's right.
At the printers now.
I backed it on Kickstarter. I'm waiting for mine.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Makes three of it.
Excellent. And so we started building this. We started creating this kind of world of The Future Is. Why don't you give us a pitch? I've been pitching it over and over again, and then every time you pitch it, I think, oh yeah, that's really much smarter than mine. So why don't you tell us about what The Future Is?
Yeah, I mean, the elevator pitch really is it's a cyberpunk Mission Impossible. It's a bunch of hackers in a not so far future where there have been hacker wars and the Black Hats won, and you don't have rights anymore in this future. You have only terms of service, and you're kind of at the whim of a bunch of fairly large, rich corporations and their IT people. But there's a mysterious guy named Wheeler who has put together a team, a sort of Justice League of hackers, of people who've been wronged or nearly crushed by this regime, to basically fight back on behalf of regular folks. And the first thing I thought of when Jason recommended a bunch of great books, like I think it was you guys who had the idea of leaning heavily into something called augmented reality.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who have not familiar with that term, if you ever played Pokemon Go on your phone, that is augmented reality, where it's basically, a virtual world is superimposed over the real one. And in the future, we've gotten rid of the phone part. Instead of looking at screens, your eyeballs are the screen. And so everybody has most people, I should say, have a neural link that lets them project the internet right onto your face, onto your eyes. For many of us, that sounds very exciting. For many of us, I'm sure that sounds absolutely scary. Because part of what I was sort of inspired by was stuff like Black Mirror, which is obviously more in the horror space. But I like working in the heroic milieu, and I like the idea of white hat hackers sort of swooping in. Like, these are essentially vigilante white hat hackers protecting people from abuses of technology. So it's like you get into a bad Black Mirror situation, and then Wheeler and company sweep in to try to save you.
Yeah, I grew up on A-Team.
Sure.
So I every time I think, I was like, it's just a future version of the A-Team. For me, where like there's people who are like, what's the A-Team? It's like, well, it's fine. Right?
It's a show where every show they just expended incredible amounts of assault rifle bullets, automatic weapons fire, only shot out tires.
Yeah.
They invented tire-seeking bullets.
And a car flipped every episode.
Yes, because their tires got shot out.
Yeah.
And that van was constantly finding things to jump.
Yes.
Why do they need to jump in the van?
Yeah.
Always needed to jump, because the Duke's a hazard, I guess. I don't know. The Duke's a hazard vacation.
It's like they scooped out a 13-year-old's brain and made a TV show out of it. What a 13-year-old's like, guns, Mr. T, sure. That all makes perfect sense. And the future is very much not like that.
We haven't jumped a van yet.
Well, we don't. Well, for one thing, I cannot claim we have a Mr. T, but there is only one Mr. T.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, we might need it. We might need a Mr. T at some point. Yeah. Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about what that process felt like. Actually, no. Now that we've talked about what the story is, we brought in Fred, and then we had something that we all now refer to as basement time. Joe, this was before you, but Jason,
if you've seen Pulp Fiction, that's a different kind. Sorry, wrong kind of.
Where's the Gimp? Gimp's sleeping. Well, wake him up.
No, Adam.
Jason, tell me about you. This was your first time really doing like a creative conference like that, I think, for around comics. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so originally the concept for the Futurism, before it was called the Futurist, was about a team of like hackers in modern times doing hacking jobs. And we come from like the world that we get to play in every single day at the company I work for. We get to do this stuff, but we can't say who we do this stuff for. We can't really tell the stories of how we do the stuff. So we were looking for ways to tell the stories, but it wasn't us. It's these narrative characters, and the companies are fictional. And at some point, John, the owner of our company, was like, "I'm not feeling it. What if it's in the future? Like, and we have a reason to care about the future. And we have a reason to care about like augmented reality. We have a reason to care about like the consequences of today and what happens because we make privacy decisions today, technology decisions today. And there's this thing in cybersecurity is that most people build a product, they release it, and then they think about how to secure it. And that's going to keep happening. It's going to happen to the Neuralink. It's going to happen to everything that we do, is that people are like, this is really cool. Let's make it. Let's give it to people. Oh, crap. Let's secure it. And so that's going to be our future. And so we started thinking about what would that look like? And so Basement Time was an opportunity for John and I to come to Brooklyn, to meet with Fred, to meet with Adam, to meet with Nate, and sit there and just talk about all the things that scare the crap out of us that we know about currently, and how we think that's going to affect the world over the next 30, 40 years. And like, hey, what if we could start addressing it now through story, and then those stories could start improving things now, or at least people start thinking about the security implications of what they're doing. At least think about, maybe what if we don't have the password hardwired into the firmware of this thing that's super important that could bring down the infrastructure of the world. Like what if we don't do that?
Well, I hope that in some ways this project can begin to inform that. It's definitely a lofty goal, and I'm looking forward to finding some of that.
And we should just clarify this bit. This wasn't like we didn't just like break into someone's random basement. It was based in a comic book store that I think, Adam, you at the time you were using as Prana offices to a certain degree, right?
That's exactly it. Yeah, I had an office. I felt like for a while there, if you're running if you're in a company that helps comic book publishers, you might as well have, if you're going to have an office, might as well be in the basement of a comic book store. So we were in the basement of Anyone Comics in Brooklyn. And it was, Demetrius, shout out to Demetrius if you're out there, buddy. He definitely had a big room that we allowed us to use for meetings. And we basically all I brought them down. It was the most New York vibe ever, like in the same way, like at the beginning of Goodfellas, where they kind of come in through the back and they go through the kitchen. Mm-hmm. We had to come down this like nasty alleyway stairs that was covered in chicken grease from the chicken joint next door, and not slide down these stairs in order to get into this basement. And God bless these guys. I really thought that once they came down those stairs, they were like, I don't want to do anything to do with any of this. But all of them were like, this is awesome.
John was very worried we were going to like a WeWork space, that everything was made of glass and like, yeah. So when he saw a grungy basement, he's like, yeah, we're making real comics now.
We could have been at a WeWork space and had good coffee. Just saying. But yeah, so yeah, we did. And if you've never been in a situation like that, I will say that one of the things I love most about these sort of creative retreats is that you end up in a room full of people who love story and love thinking about story and story structure. And they're just constantly trying to solve problems by telling stories. And this one was no different than that.
Yeah, Fred, you did a great job of like showing up with I think I got it.
Right.
And so you were able to like present that, and then from there we're like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Because we live in, I came from comic books, I came from filmmaking, I got into cybersecurity 10 years ago, and since then I am immersed in cybersecurity. But you're not, and so we have to help you navigate this world, so that way cybersecurity people can read it and go, yes, this is authentic, and then also people who are comic fans can read it and go, I may not understand all these things, but I'm enjoying the story. I'm having a great time reading and enjoying all this part.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want, like you were saying earlier, when you ran into the problem of the logjam hack or whatever, the thing that sort of bear versus bear was wrapped around. I think that's the smart idea of putting it far in the future, right? Is that we're doing stuff that's analogous to stuff that's happening today without being the exact same thing, and running into anachronisms and things that are obsolete and stuff like that.
Oh, Nick's here. What's up, Nick?
Mr. Barucci. Thank you, sir. Yes, and he's absolutely right. Please hit like and subscribe. That is the thing that you can help this whole project. Also, you should be subscribing to The Future Is at your local comic shop. We're going to show you a nice sell sheet for that. Look at that right there. It comes up. Oh, at Challengers. Right on. Mm-hmm. I love those guys. Yes. The Future Is available at your local comic shop. You can go ahead and subscribe right now. It's going to be out on the 28th of May now. And we're going to have the first FOC is on the 28th of this month. So coming up very soon in 6 days. So make sure that if you tell your retailer that you want The Future Is waiting for you in your subscription box.
I just want to shout out too, this is the first time that we've added a preview function. So Future Is the first comic that we have 11-page preview that includes like a bunch of sell sheet information at the end, which is pretty cool and pretty fun. So did it special for you guys.
That first 10 pages, Fred, is fantastic. I mean, the beluga whale, and for everyone to know, like, we are doing what we can to base all the technology that's in the comic on what is really coming.
Yeah.
So
even the belugas with machine guns.
Yeah.
All based in science.
Well,
Well, I mean, inspired by science. Let's put it that way.
You know,
Belugas with frickin' laser beams, right?
Well, they're already working on AI to be able to talk to the whales, and so if you think 30 years from now, like,
It's going to be a very different place.
Yeah.
The world will be a very different place 30 years from now. Yes. Excellent. So we're at the creative retreat. That's where we are in our timeline. I like the fact that we're building a narrative here about the narrative, right? And nice to give it structure. What were the big takeaways from that you had in order to begin kind of building out story, Fred? Like, what were the big shifts for you in that space?
Well, I mean, a lot of it was like innocuous stuff, just talking to John and Jason and their folks about stuff that, that I wouldn't have occurred to me if I hadn't talked to somebody directly. Like, there's a character, we have a senior citizen on the team, Sally Chu, who has to wear this exoskeleton because she spent the last decade plus in near Earth orbit in her own private space station. And that was inspired by John and Jason talking about one of their hackers, one of their employees who is an older woman and just kind of walked off the street, was really obsessed with hacking, and that really sort of it didn't occur to me to have And then the more I worked on the project, I realized, Sally, this character is probably a Gen Zer, right? She's in high school right now,
Yeah.
So all of her, which I kind of like, is there's somebody who actually says cultural references I understand. She's in her 70s in the future, but is in her teens now. So that was really great, and just a lot of great stuff. John told the story about John Deere, the tractor makers, who there's some tractors where they have built in computers in some models that'll brick your machine if you don't, if you're using it inappropriately, or you're trying to hack it, or you're trying to fix it without, and void the warranty and all that stuff. And so that ended up becoming an important bit in one of the stories, this idea that everything becomes a subscription service. I can't just buy a piece of technology and just have it in my house. No, you're on the hook now for constant servicing. And that's the kind of Byzantine corporate shenanigans that our vigilante white hat hackers are kind of combating against. Oh, and also murder, conspiracy, various kinds of espionage, various science fiction insanity. But yeah, it's just a really neat milieu that I don't think I would have ever occurred to me on my own had Black Hills not brought up to me, the concept to me.
Jason, this actually came out of something that you talked about, where you were talking about how it's already here in the future. Our appliances, the physical tools that we work on are obviously our cars. Very much are this now. You are going to have subscriptions. You are going to have a constant relationship with that technology in order for it to be updated.
Yeah, what we're seeing already in cars, but we'll see soon, is that you'll buy a house and you won't be able to use the garage door unless you pay the monthly service for your garage door. You won't be able to use your dishwasher unless you pay to use your dishwasher. Like, you'll have all of the hardware, but unless you're paying for a subscription of it, you won't be able to have it. So I still picture soccer moms 10 years from now going to the local high school to find a kid and say, can you jailbreak my dishwasher? And so that's the kind of world we're getting ready to start living into, is that there's going to be so many things where we don't own it. We just get to use it if we keep paying for it.
Yeah, and we're already there. I will say that one of my favorite things that my wife, as I was telling her about this project, she said, so now, if you're going to have kids, you push them. In the past, you would push them to become doctors and lawyers because the family needs a doctor and a lawyer. Now we have to train one of them to be hackers. I'm like, yeah, Yeah, we all have to become hackers now. It's basically where we're at.
Yeah, I asked a question, and this is controversial, so I'm already gonna. Is malware covered by the Second Amendment? And so I asked that question to the hacker community of, is malware covered by the Second Amendment? Because if you're using it as a weapon, is it a weapon that you can use to protect yourself? If you believe that drones and other things could be used against you, then could you deploy malware to stop those things from happening? And so does malware start becoming, covered by the Second Amendment? And then you're like, whoa, okay. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a little terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
That is a little terrifying. And it is, I mean, is it Second Amendment, but also like the First Amendment of free speech. I mean, we're just talking about code, right? We're not. That's fascinating. All right, so let's actually talk about the artists involved in this project, and then I'd love to get to the characters that we've kind of created that are going to live in this world. Joe, talk about some of the artists that we are working with, how we found them, and especially let's spend a lot of time, if you can, on those covers. Because you've done some incredible work there.
Yeah, so interior art, we've got 2 guys for the most part. Ennio, 3 including the colorist, and 4 including the letterer. Ennio Buffi and Mario D'Alessandro are the 2 artists. 2 Italian artists, both amazing guys. We're planning on going 60 issues, so in 2030 they'll be drawing X-Force and whatever. But for now they're ours, and they're awesome. Yeah. The colorist is Andrea Molani, and she's amazing. And then Taylor Esposito is the Eisner Award winning letterer. And then so for cover artists, who should we get? I was like, why don't we get all the best artists in the comic book industry to do covers? We got 60 covers to do. Let's make them, every single one is a banger. That's my mission as the editor on this book. So kicking things off, we showed the J. Lee cover '1. We've got Mike Huddleston '2, Rob Guillory again on #3. And actually maybe some more Rob Guillory art on the inside too. Jim Mahfood, Brandon Graham, Nick Patera, Michael Allred. I've got a list going well beyond the first year. I could keep going. We haven't announced any of these guys. But they're all bangers. They're all awesome. So
Paul Pope. But yeah, it is an incredible group. Talk about what it's been like talking to people inside the comics world about this project. Because at some point I want to talk about when we brought this whole project to retailers as well. But you have been really steeped in discussing this project with people inside the comics community. And I want to hear what some of those responses have been like.
Yeah, they're pumped. Like, we're doing a bunch of weird stuff, not even just on the story end, but like the marketing end and the way we're putting this comics out. And the overall response I get is once they hear the names that we're working with, like, I want to be part of that. And that is by design. Like I want us to create the best artistic party in comics going on today. So that when artists here who we're working with, they're like, yeah, I want in on that. So, when I'm heading to artist alleys this year and bringing people on board, we're inviting you to that party. And they're just excited, like they're excited we're calling our shot. We're with 60 issues. They're excited that we're doing, 1337 on the first #1 issue. And I will say, like, look, let's be real. When I first say, hey, I'm working with a cybersecurity company in a comic, there is a little trepidation of like, oh, what does that mean? Is like a custom comic kind of thing or whatever. But then they see the book, they see the art, they see what Fred's doing with the story, they see the immense level of care. They see that we're a new publisher and we have one book that we're doing like really well, and we're gonna just absolutely kill on making that the best possible comic it can be. People are pumped. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm bringing in Paul Pope, and that's why I'm bringing in everyone I've been bringing in. Like, I can't get into what, but Michael and Laura Allred are very busy right now. But they did a cover for this for us, I think in part because they're excited to see what we're doing. So yeah, people are in. Yeah.
And you're bringing a whole new audience into comic stores, right? Like, these are people that, 1, have money, and 2, they're nerds, and 3, this is the kind of stuff they like. So bringing those people into, oh no, you're going to make them spend money at my store? That's terrible. Oh.
Well, that's a good spot to talk about the presentation that we did for Comics Pro. Jason, specifically, what do you think that bringing the world of cybersecurity into comics is going to do to the world of comics? Like that's a whole different shift, right?
Yeah. From the beginning of pitching this internally to like, hey, can we, to the John, the owner of our company, I was like, hey, let's make comics. And he said, yes, if we make great comics that also happen to be about cybersecurity. He's like, I don't want to make a cybersecurity comic that's great. Like, I want to make a great comic that people want to read, that people want to enjoy. And then it's got cybersecurity infused into it. And the other part was he wants the reader to be the hero, which is why we have cybersecurity challenges throughout the comics themselves. And so there are challenges hidden on the cover. The title itself is password protected. So the future is 6 characters, password protected. Every issue is going to be different. So for 60 different issues, you'll get to break the password for the title of the book. But we wanted to bring cybersecurity to comics because when I got into cybersecurity and I went to my very first HackerCon, I looked around and I was like, I know these people. Like I know these people because I came from comic books, and I was like, it's the same people. They may not read comics, but they would if they were introduced to comics. And I even thought like a long time ago that if a publisher came to a HackerCon and they were the only publisher at a HackerCon, they would be like the most popular booth at the HackerCon because they're like, hey, I got these books. And they're like, I love these books, right? So we wanted to bring cybersecurity to comics because I love comics. There's this huge, massive audience of cybersecurity professionals that I think if they got a chance to read comics or picked up comics again for the first time in a long time, they would go, wow, this is awesome and I love it. And so the other part is that I owned a store at some point and I knew nothing about cybersecurity. I'm pretty sure our point of sale system was compromised through use. And so when I was at Comics Pro, I stopped in the middle of my presentation on REKCAH Comics, and I was like, hey, here's 10 ways to protect yourself as a comic book store. Number 1, 15 character passwords, right? Like 15 character passwords. And some of you are like, 15 characters? I can't come up with 15 crazy, no, it's 3 words together with some numbers and a couple special characters that get you to 15 characters. Right. And all of a sudden, like cameras came out at Comics Pro and people started taking pictures of the slides because don't use your password more than once. Like your social media account, like if you're using the same password for your social media account, your bank and other things, like you're going to have a bad day, a real bad day soon. You're going to get locked out of all your things. And then even like to think through like what happens if I get locked out of all my things? Like how long does it take you to get your bank account? How long does it take this? How long does it take to get your Facebook back that you've spent 8 years pouring into and building a community? And all of a sudden, because you clicked on a link one day that you weren't supposed to, now you're locked out of your account. We don't want you to go out of business. We don't want the retailers to go out of business. We don't want the retailers to be like interrupted. And so we're like, what if we bring cybersecurity to comics and comics to cybersecurity? The other thing is like if we can start teaching the readers like how to do cybersecurity, then that 30-ish years into the future, and you know how hacking works and you know how to understand it, you start changing up the way that you protect yourself. Like that's just good for everybody.
100%. Brian, I see you pulling this up, and I know that this is something you're very interested in. I'd love to bring that up. One of our favorite additions to this particular book is that we're going to be bringing in ads to the comic itself. And one of those ads, my favorite ad so far, in fact, the first ad, because you bought it at Comics Pro this year, was for Managed Comics. And you built what is a very typical old style comic book ad.
1960s, yeah.
That's right.
Got a little sea monkeys, a little pet monkey, space probes. Yeah, and we're even leaning into the game aspect. So there's a secret code on here too.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you not catch that?
I didn't. No.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, yeah, that was my favorite part.
Excellent. Well, I did bring this up because I know that so much of this falls to both of you. If you are a comics retailer and you're using, I mean, every day you're using a POS system, and as Jason pointed out, that POS system, if you're smart, you're using a POS system. That is as much your business as the people there and the product that you're selling, right? Has become your real business. So talk about how that marriage works for you. I mean, Brian, I'd love for you to have a conversation about what security for stores means and how this marriage kind of all works together.
Yeah, I mean, security is super, especially all the stores that are using Comic Suite right now. The number of them who have told me at some point that their main computer broke, caught fire, was in a fire, was flooded, right? And then I'm like, oh, just grab your backup. Well, our backups were all in store. Your backup, like, because a OneDrive account is like $10 a month, and you can at least get that backup somewhere. Yeah. Having a physical drive that you take with you that's in your pocket, like some kind of backup. So there's no backup strategies for a lot of these folks. So that's like the number one thing we say is, like, if you're not going to use cloud software, at least have a backup strategy and have an offsite backup. And then from there, it's like just drilling through standard security stuff like two-factor authentication on all of the things, secure passwords, right? Maybe not using your phone as your secondary authenticator either, because your number can, sometimes Verizon just gives your number to somebody else by accident for a month, which you hear about a lot. So having an authenticator app is important. All those little things that, like, anybody who's been in IT for any extended period of time just knows by heart. Lock your computer, or Jason's going to send an email to all the people in the company. But folks who have worked retail often don't have that kind of background. So this stuff's all super important.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are currently putting together a giveaway for stores themselves. We have a couple of pieces. I've been trying to pull them up. We have announcing that we're putting out a poster into stores to promote with that Jay Lee cover. And we're going to be sending out to the top 1,000 stores a giveaway book of our friends Bear versus Bear, teaching everyone kind of just the super basics of cybersecurity. You hit on those a little bit earlier, Jason. I think you hit them all.
Yeah, except for two-factor authentication. Thank you, Brian. Two-factor authentication is the way to go. If you don't have it on, please turn it on. Please turn it on. And we're getting to the point where you're actually going to have to start giving your family code words if you call, because 100%. With AI voice cloning and everything else, like we're not that far away. There was recently a company that got swindled out of millions of dollars because they called an emergency board meeting, and one of those people was not who they thought they were. They were an AI clone of a board member. And no, all of them were clones of the board members. The only real person there was the CFO.
That's genius. I do a podcast with Django and Jeff from Comics Place and Comic Shop Assistant, and I cloned their voices years ago about a year and a half ago, because I wanted to use their voices for some funny things. And it's still one of my favorite things, one of the favorite tools I have. Except they have a Canadian accent, which is a little weird when I'm doing it.
It occurs to me I did not get your passwords before we started this broadcast, so I think this will be interesting. Excellent. Well, so I think that this is an excellent time to talk a little bit about the plan for going into comic shops themselves. And Joe, I love hearing you talk about this because you. Not only were you an Eisner Award-winning writer and editor, but you also began your life as a marketer, or began your career in comics as a marketer for Image Comics way back in the day, right?
That is correct. Yes. Good
And
for that.
and so talk to us about why is it unique inside of comic shops. And before we do that, before Nick comes along and tells me I should do it again, make sure you're hitting like and subscribe, and make sure you're getting alerts when we go live, because this kind of stuff is exactly how you support comics. And oh my God, yes. And
Jason came fully loaded with all the
He
effects.
truly
Well,
did.
the
He
star
truly
swipe
did.
soon.
And if you're not subscribed already to The Future Is at your local comic shop, you can just log into your Managed Comics profile and hit subscribe right now. Anyway, Joe, how often are people going to see The Future Is in comic shops?
The Future Is will be in comic book stores every month for 60 months. Now, you've probably saw, wow, a 16-issue series in 2025? That sounds amazing. No, 6-0. This sucker's going to 2030. And yeah, we're going to be hitting it every month. We've got a whole bunch of stuff already in the can. I said I've already got guys working on cover. I just signed up for issue 14, 15. So, you know, we're working pretty far ahead of it. We just want to be there every single month. Like it's not just for the reader, right? Like I can go in and I'm going to know this week every single time when I have The Future Is, but also as a retailer, we're not going anywhere. We're calling our shot. You know, we're going all the way on this one. So, and to me, that's really exciting. Like that draws less so on my past experience, but more so like I'm really excited for comics right now. I think that you know, you can find all doom and gloom if you want, but for me, man, like looking at Tila, I think we're in for a really exciting time. And I feel very lucky to be part of this team where there's a lot of stuff that we're doing. And Adam, you can confirm this from your recent convention adventures where people are like, what? That's crazy. Why are you doing that? To me, that's my favorite thing in the whole world. And we've got, Jason gave us one rule, which is you can't do what you did before. So I'm not really, no offense to anybody, I'm not really looking at my past at all for this one. I'm really looking for like, where can we go now? Right. And I'm grateful for my past experience. Don't get me wrong. But I'm more so looking forward to, okay, well, what can comics be tomorrow? Right. Like that was Kirby's whole thing. He was always like, comics is a history of evolving, right? Started off as the strips and then became, you know, newspapers, and then it became, you know, whatever, goes on and on and on. And so it's like, okay, where can we take this thing? I know there's another hacker edict. When Adam and I were invited by Jason and the crew to go to their convention in Deadwood, South Dakota, while it was Hacking Fest. And the edict that kept coming up over and over again was like breaking things that make them stronger. And we're like, oh, let's just take that to comics, you know? And like, we have a huge group. We have a team of people who know cybersecurity very well on the Black Hill side and on the Prana/REKCAH side, you know, like Adam knows the direct market. Fred's killer narrative, killer editorial, right? And so it's like there's nobody's like, well, that's not how we do it, or I don't know if people are going to approve of this. Like, let's just go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how it works. Let's make the first issue 100 pages and 1337. Let's do it. That's crazy. Oh well.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. Every issue is 404. Awesome. It's wild. You know, and I'm really excited for where not just we can go, but like comics is going. And yeah, man, we're going all in.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Once again, this is what it looks like if you are subscribing to The Future Is on a Managed Comics
that
platform.
price 404. It's the
That's
best.
right, 404 and 1337, which means what, Jason?
Leet. It's hacker speak for leet. You're a leet hacker.
And if your local comic shop gives you grief about this, let them know that it's coming in from Lunar, and it is affidavit returnable, which means that they should have copies on the shelf risk-free, because we want to make sure that you have them showing up on day one.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think my number one fear is that we do get the cybersecurity community to show up, and then they're not there.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that keeps me up at night, is that we tell the cybersecurity community, this is where the comics are. Go to your local comic shop, go to your local comic shop, go to your local comic shop, go to your local comic shop. And they get there and like, hey, I want to get The Future Is. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I will tell you what, you go ahead and tell the cybersecurity company, the folks, to go find a store that is on this list, right, in their area, and go subscribe there. So any one of these places, they can go ahead and subscribe to The Future Is. So they should definitely utilize the power of the internet to pre-order, because that's the only way that stores really know, what the demand of things are. So if folks start pre-ordering and we start seeing those numbers jump up, I mean, Adam and I will put out a big, huge alert and say, hey, this thing is moving really fast. Don't get caught without it.
Yeah. Just in case retailers were hesitant about the 1337 and about this new comic from a new publisher, we printed so heavy on that first issue that it is available for a very long time. And so if you want it 6 months from now, it should still be available. 10 months from now, it should still be available. And if we need to, we'll go back to print for issue 1. Because Fred, you wrote such a great story for issue 1. You built this world. You established it where people could like enjoy and say, hey, these characters are cool. I want to be along for the ride. And then like the technology, the cybersecurity challenges, like it all comes together. And you're like, so wait, I can do the hack that the character did. Like,
well, growing up, you guys did a great thing where growing up, I was used to like double-sized first issues. This is a quadruple-sized first issue. It's all bigger,
Yeah, I will tell you, there was a moment, I remember when Jason called me, because we started issues 2 through 7, which are just the origin stories of this book. We were working on those. In fact, the issue number 2 was the first one that we ever did. And there was this night that Jason called me and said, we have to do a full story before, like we have to open it up with the team together, and we have to do a full narrative. And we're like, okay, great. Well, are we going to do a mini? Nope, it's all going to be one. Okay, man, let's do it. Let's go. Okay, this is not how this is usually done, which makes this perfect. Let's go.
Yeah, Joe and I had this conversation, and we talked about how every comic is someone's first comic, and there was a concern that cybersecurity community would show up and get that first issue, but not know that there's going to be more, or they didn't like get enough, or they didn't know what was going on. So we're like, let's give them everything we possibly can in one issue. And then from there, they can decide, let's keep going for the next 5 years. But in that first issue, it's everything in one issue. And then we keep building on it, and we keep building on it. We keep building on it.
That's excellent. All right. Well, we're coming in on the last 3 minutes here. I'm trying to pull up some downloads here for our good friend Brian to send out. He can show as we're talking. Let's go around the room and let's talk about what it is people should be doing if they want to A, find what you're working on, and B, how should they be looking up. Yes, exactly. At some point over 60 issues, we're going to need lots of these jokes, Kyle. Let's talk about where people can find you, where people can find this book, and what is the one thing that terrifies you the most about what the future actually is? Let's start with you, Fred. What do you think?
Okay. If you can spell my name, you see it on the screen. That's me at Instagram and Twitter /X and Blue Sky, and Facebook and all the internet things. It's also my website, foreverlandland.com. The thing that terrifies me, I'm a word guy, I'm a writer guy, and I do worry that we're pivoting, away from literacy towards sort of a pure video oral, society, which would kind of, be a bit of a bummer for me. So words, people, they're good. Stick with them. Slightly self-serving, but I also love them.
Yeah.
Working in it,
100%. 100%. Joe, tell people about what you where people can find you, and what terrifies you most about what the future actually is.
Well, you can find me on Instagram, Joe Keating. Man, I think the thing that it doesn't even terrify me though. I'm gonna twist your question a little bit. I'm gonna hack it to make it stronger. I get pumped up because I think about, there's all these things people want to abdicate. I'm gonna abdicate, my thinking to this, or I'm gonna do this and this will handle it for me. And I do worry about that. I do greatly worry about people abdicating responsibility for their own lives to technologies. But the thing that I am seeing, and I see it in my own family, and I see it in my son, and I like people are getting pumped to show up, right? And so as long as people show up and don't abdicate, you know, their thought or their whatever, like, I don't know, I'm positive about the future. You know, like, are there things that are worrisome? Sure, but man, I don't know. I'm showing up to the fight anyway.
And I think we all appreciate you having you in this brawl, man. I'm so grateful that you're part of this project. Jason, this is you're the one who scares the shit out of me on a regular basis.
Yeah.
How can people find you? How can people find all of the projects that you're working on? And I would love if you tell them exactly how you're prepared also for what you think the future is.
So you can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm prolific. That's the only platform that I use these days. And the thing that I'm most afraid about the future, I was at an event where we were talking about the future of marketing, the future of things, right? And it was a bunch of very smart people who do very incredible work in the industry. And they started talking about how there's a loneliness epidemic in the world. And so they were creating chatbots and other artificial things to help people who are lonely feel less lonely. And I said, that is the most depressing thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons that we wanted cybersecurity people to go to their local comic shop was for community. We wanted you to go to your local community, to get your local comic from your local store, to talk to your local comic book store owner, to meet other local people. And so to find a community in your local area, because the thing that I fear the most is the loneliness of technology. And then Adam wanted to know what my plan is. Since I work in cybersecurity, I have a 3-month supply of food at all times, because you just got to make it through the first 3 months. That's when the craziness is the worst, and then it dies down after 3 months. And then you get to your first checkpoint. There's where you refuel, and you got to have that planned ahead of time. And then from there, I have a walking path to where I'm heading to next. And it will take 3.5 months to get there by walking. It would only take 28 days, but I'm bringing my daughter with me, so it's going to be 3.5 months. So. Love you, honey.
That's amazing.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for this project. We've had an amazing time building it, and I'm looking forward to the next 5 years working with you guys.
We're having a great time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Brian, you've done a great job of running the 1s and 2s on this one.
Yeah. I haven't manned a board like that in a while.
How is it? You know, we're already over time, but quick impressions as a retailer, as somebody who works in comics, as an IT professional. What do you think about this weird little project we've been building?
Oh, I was super excited, like, as soon as I heard it, and then seeing Jason's presentation at Comics Pro and the energy in the room of the retailers, like, they were genuinely delighted about it. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. Like I said, this is my people, right? Like, I've worked in IT since 93 or something ridiculous like that. So I know these folks, and they were resistant to comics until you start to show them how cool comics are, and they love them. So yeah, it's gonna be great.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This has been Brian Garside and Adam Freeman, and we are here every Tuesday talking about the issues that are presented to the comic book industry. Not always do we do a 1-hour infomercial, but we'll do it. We're not above it. We want to pitch our own stuff. Someday we're just going to do a deep dive on why you should have a POS system and what POS system should be.
I mean, that doesn't even just have to be me. if you don't have a POS system, you're just missing.
We really should. We should do a roundtable of I think Django. I think I saw you popping in here. We should have a whole crew here and talk about why POS systems are absolutely crucial and how to keep them safe. But anyway,
absolutely.
My name is Adam Freeman. I'll run a podcast called Comic Industry Insiders. You should definitely check that out, either hopefully on the YouTube channel you've been watching or wherever you get podcasts. Brian Garside, Managed Comics, also does Data Bros and a Managed Comics podcast as well. Please do subscribe to those. And we will see you here next week, if not before. There you go. And please subscribe to The Future Is. It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Namaste, as you say.
Namaste, y'all.